Well, apparently a new report has come out that Ukrainians have stolen $100 billion, essentially to buy fast cars. This was a scandal that has really rocked Ukraine, really rocked the entire war, and why we're giving them tons of money for a war that never seems to end. But this is, Don Jr. has gone viral accusing the Ukrainians of buying fast cars. This is what he said.
All the things your dad has accomplished, closing the border, like lay it out for people right now. Let's give them a little taste of reality, a little dose of reality, because I feel like everyone is acting like a petulant child. Whether it's MAGA, I wanted the whole COVID shot gone. I'm like, but you got it off of the schedule that mandated it for kids. But it's not good enough. It's never.
Yeah, but you haven't deported 20 million people who the prior administration for 4 years sent to every state around the country in planes. How did you not find 20 million people yet? It's like, well, they're working on it. You got to shut down the border. And you're right. You can't undo 4 years of disastrous policies overnight. He's ending wars that, no one wanted ended because, there's no money in peace, Jillian. And so the D.C. Beltway, they make a lot of money. I even had Republicans call me when I was very vocal against the Ukraine stuff, in the beginning and sending, countless billions over there. And I got Republicans calling me like, no, Don, but, some of that money's coming back to like American companies. I was like, yeah, to make missiles. Like, what, I would rather make cars. It's not the whole game is insane. I remember. My father during the primary did that like CNN town hall, and he's like, they were asking about Russia, Ukraine. He's like, I just want the death to stop. They're like, how dare? Isn't that like the answer? Like the whole audience clapped, but I think it was Caitlin Collins was like, no. But what about this? It's like, wait, like 1 million young guys have died in both of those countries for what? No one in D.C. has even told me what victory looks like yet. We're in for $500 billion, and no one knows what it is. But they're getting their kickbacks, and you read about the corruption in Zelensky. And I was actually in Monaco earlier this summer, and I was there, and I'm going around Monaco, which is a pretty rich place, and I was there for 2 days, and every other car there was an Italian supercar, like a Pagani, a Bugatti, and they all had Ukraine plates. And I promise you, I went to the Ukraine. In the early 2000s, I visited, it's not a rich place. They didn't just all magically get $5 million supercars. They're stealing that money, and it's just one big corrupt scandal. And I guess as long as there's a kickback to a couple people in America, we'll keep it going forever. It's absolutely insane. And so when he said, I just want the death to stop, of course, that's the right answer. But it's not the answer anyone wants to hear.
Well, not if you're making $100 billion and you want to keep it going. You want to keep the money flowing. According to the reports, Andriy Yermak, which is President Volodymyr Zelensky's top aide and chief peace negotiator, was very much implicated in the whole thing. He's like the right-hand man to Zelensky, the second most powerful person in Ukraine, and he was implicated in this scandal, and he has now resigned. But it doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to step in and take the money. Here is economist Steve Hanke saying that one of the $360 billion, that out of that $100 billion was taken. This is what he says.
If we look at the total amount of money that's been pumped into Ukraine since 2022, it's about $360 billion. And out of that, I estimate that the corruption's running somewhere between 15 and 30% of that. Probably towards the 30% line. That's what the auditors found with the involvement of the United States and Afghanistan.
Wow. Okay. So 30% of all the money we've spent to Ukraine has just gone to corruption so they can buy fast Italian cars. And we're keeping this going. In fact, it's going to get worse here. Let me play for you this. This is the NATO chief saying, yep, and we're going to keep sending Ukraine $1 billion a month, he says.
Yes, well, that's really great news. So a lot of pledges have come in, and I hope I can make a few announcements later today. Pledges made today. And when you look at the overall numbers, as I said yesterday, we are now at 4 billion. So that means we are really on track for the 1 billion a month, August, September, October, November. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we will reach the 5 billion for the full year. And then for next year, we need for the full year, again, a lot of money. at least 1 billion, maybe even a little bit more than 1 billion a month. It might be around 50, maybe a little bit more for the whole year when it comes to this crucial US gear. So this is offensive and defensive, including interceptors for the air defense systems. Crucial to keep Ukrainian civilians and civilian infrastructure safe. So it is really good that this flow is there, that Europeans are stepping up, and Canada, by the way, also doing a lot here. So really, really glad that this is working.
So you know that 30% of the money has just gone for corruption and buying fast cars, and yet you're super excited to continue spending $1 billion a month. You know what that means? There's corruption inside of the Europeans. There's corruption inside of the Americans. This is not just a Ukraine corruption scandal. This is everybody taking their piece of the pie. The Ukrainians couldn't get away with this if they weren't being aided and abetted by some Europeans and some Americans as well. This corruption scandal runs much, much deeper than just Ukraine stealing money and buying fast cars. No. The Europeans, the Americans, there's more people involved in this corruption scandal, like they have been many times over. The war machine in the United States has made people just absolute gazillionaires. And, yeah, we just keep turning a blind eye. We keep waging more war. And where is our own corruption investigation into this? Because that's what we need. We need to find out who in the European Union is bought off and also buying themselves some fast Italian cars. Who in the United States is also bought off? Who are these people? How far does this corruption go? Because I guarantee you, it is not just Ukraine. And by the way, how did the meeting go between the United States and Russia? At this point, Russia is saying, why the hell would we even have anything to do with any sort of peace agreement right now? You guys are the suckers. You're the ones paying all this money and they're buying fast cars. So this whole scandal just kind of emboldened the Russians where they're saying, we don't really need to make a peace deal because you guys are the idiots in this whole thing. We're getting what we want. You're all being bled out physically and monetarily. And so, basically the meeting that happened between Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Putin has resulted in nothing. Nada. Zilch. How do you say nothing in Russian? I don't know. Just racking my brain. I actually don't know. But that's not going anywhere. And it's because the Russians don't have any incentive. They see that we're all being taken for a ride. And they're just like, you know what? You get what you asked for. You guys started it. You wanted it. Here it is. Suckers. And that's really what we all are. We're all just a bunch of suckers when it comes to Ukraine. And apparently gleefully sending out $1 billion American dollars, $1 billion, and that's European money. The United States is sending also a bunch of money and weapons, and we're doing this gleefully because we just love to lose. We love to not be America first, and we just love war and making money off of war. It's never ending. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.